Hello, everyone, and welcome to WarsawJS 82. I'm happy to be your host today, and as usually, we're going to have 3 presentations. So let me introduce first the organizing team. That's besides me, Anya, Maciej, Luisa, and Gabi. They're all helping us with organizing all of this, the whole event. So thank you very much, guys, for that, and Gils. What is WarsawJS for? We exist to support professional and novice software developers within the IT community. We intend to accelerate the process of education and knowledge sharing and experience with strong enforcing of the networking. Our mission statement is public. You can check it. You can make pull requests to that. And our main idea here is that we all exist here to support each other. And in cases of some violations of this code of conduct, we're going to react very promptly, especially that in the online situation, it's really easy. So be careful. Thank you very much for joining our community. We have already more than 5,700 people at meetup.com. Please go to meetup.com/WarsawJS and subscribe to see the newest events. You can also go to WarsawJS.com where you can learn what workshops are running. We are running WarsawJS workshops, WarsawJS meetups, and also our podcast. But I will tell you more about this in a moment. Thanks a lot for sponsoring us to 10Clouds, ColdStack, Fresha, PackHelp, PostClick, Prisma, Sumo Logic, and Xfang. Thanks to you guys, we exist still during the pandemics. It's hard times, but I will tell you and announce something very important in a moment. So stay with us. Today we also are having a small contest. If you join us at our Discord networking session, the first people who will join us will get some codes, 100% discounts for JetBrains product licenses for 1 year. So this is our Discord. You can get the link at our WarsawJS.com, or we will send you at YouTube or Facebook very soon. Our next workshop is React at any level. You can see it's on 20th of June, so it's very soon. Always we do 5 hours of quite intensive workshop with great coaches, and it's totally free. So be careful. We start we start the subscriptions on Sunday. This Sunday. So 1 week before the event. So this is some very important announcement I have for you. We join our forces with Free Code Camp, and as you remember, there is maybe you remember on 72nd Meetup there was with us Anya Kubov. Anya Kubov, can you also join us now? Because that's a very important announcement for.
Yeah, for sure. Can you hear me? Hi, everyone. Yeah, so for those of you who don't know me, my name is Anya Kubo. I am a software developer based in London. But in my free time, I'm really passionate about, sharing knowledge either through my own YouTube channel, on which I create lots of tutorials around JavaScript, React, GraphQL. And I don't have much free time. I also co-run I'm one of the organizers for Free Code. So I'm part of their core team, and we are always on the lookout for amazing talks. And obviously, being on WarsawJS, I already know what an amazing channel it is. So I'm proud to say that we will be posting WarsawJS videos on our talks, Free Code Camp's talks channel. So we already released one today. And yeah, looking forward to collaborating further.
Thank you very much, Anya, for your support with our ranges. We joined forces. I'm so happy about this because I really appreciate your hard work on delivering courses, total courses from total beginners, like on HTML, CSS, and JS. And it's really amazing, especially that you also started to program quite recently, right?
Yeah, quite recently. I used to work in finance before, so this was a career change for me a few years back. So if you're looking to get into development, like, don't let anything stop you. Like, you can learn at any age. You don't have to do a computer science course or anything like that. Just self-teaching yourself. There's so many resources online to do that. So yeah, I would really recommend taking the plunge, or at least trying it in your spare time and seeing if it's for you.
Yeah, that's totally amazing because you, with Free Code Camp, you really facilitate this entering to this to IT, and that's fantastic because our courses are just for free, so you can actually learn how to become a developer thanks to your channel.
Yeah, no, it's a fantastic channel. I'm really grateful that they let me be part of their core team. It's run by it's Quincy, I think. Well, I don't think Quincy started the channel, and it's just grown from 0 to over 3 million subscribers now. So yeah, they've done an amazing job.
Yeah, but by comparison, WarsawJS have 2,500. So
you're getting that.
But we also want to. We are getting that.
You're getting
so that's
that.
Three orders of magnitude, right? That's good. That's really impressive. All right, Anya. So thank you very much for coming here today, and maybe you can join us on our networking session because it's going to be also online, and we start like at 8:30 at. Test, so maybe you can join us too.
Yeah, for sure. I'll definitely make an appearance. So I'll see you guys there.
Thank you very much. See you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, so how about our talks today? Do I still share my screen? No. My slides today will start Yuval and will tell us what is the open source project Amplication. The second talk by Andriy Mykulyak on designing web APIs, and the keynote talk by Dominika Zając, how to make the internet available for everyone. So it's, of course, on accessibility. So yeah, let's begin. Oh, actually, I wanted to tell you something more. Okay, but maybe later. So let's begin now. And Yuval, are you here with us?
Hello, I'm right here. Hi, everybody.
Hi, Yuval. Hello. What's the weather now in Tel Aviv?
It's perfect. I think it's like around 25, 26, around 7:30 p.m., 1 hour before you, and almost going to sleep soon. And it was a great weather today.
Okay, so you have 23 minutes if you make your talk longer. Sorry, 22 minutes. If you make your talk longer, the question and answer sessions will be shorter. However, you can still answer your other questions during the networking session. So good luck, Yuval, and it's all your stage.
Perfect. So thank you very much for having me. I'm really excited to be here and talk to this great community. I will present Amplication, and so let's first maybe a few words about myself. I'm 42 from Tel Aviv, Israel. I'm developer for almost the entire of my life, and I've been working on Amplication. It's an open source project in the last 12 to 15 months maybe. And today I'm going to show you Amplication, and I think the best thing to do is just share my screen and let's deep dive into it. I'll start with a quick demo just to show you the core, and then we can go slowly about the code and everything around it. So let's start. I'll just share my screen. All right, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. So this is our homepage, amplication.com. Everybody can go there and sign in and start using the service. Basically, like I said, it's an open source project, so you can go to the GitHub repo and look on the code and everything. And I will talk about that soon. But let's start and use the product. And let me tell you what it does. Basically, Amplication is a code generator that allows you to create a full blown Node.js application in minutes without writing any codes, and then you get from Amplication the entire source code, so you can build on top of it, customize it, deploying and everything. So let's create a new project. I'll start from scratch, and I will get an empty project. And for the first demo, I will just go and use that project in order to use the CLI in order to create everything. So let's just give it name WarsawJS. And what I'm going to do, the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to connect this project to a GitHub repo because I want to sync all my code to GitHub. So I'll go here and I will create a repository with that name. It's going to be a public repository so everybody can even actually look on the generated code. So once I have that repository, I'll go back to Amplication and I'll click on sync with GitHub. Once that's done, I'm going to select that repo I just created and I'm ready to go. Now, there are a few ways to work with Amplication. We can use the UI, which you see here. We can go create entities and everything. But for that demo, I'm going to use the CLI. So I'm going to take that application ID I just have here, and I'll go to my VS Code, and I'll use the CLI in order to create the first application, and then we will have a look what we have. So this is a script I created already. We can see that this script going to create a customer entity with few fields, an address entity with some fields, a product entity, an image, and all there. And that's it. This code, once it's going to run, we will generate a full-blown application for us. So the first command to run is just to connect to the app I just created. So I will take that and connect to that app. And Amplication CLI, of course, is a package you can download from NPM. And I have that app. You can see this is the app we just created, WarsawJS. And what I'm going to do now, I'm going to run that command to run this file, create e-commerce app, and I'll just execute that. And what that code will do, it will just go step by step on those scripts, and we'll just execute them with the Amplication CLI through the API. So it created a customer entity, and we have that flag for set current to make sure that the next commands will use that entity. So we create first name, last name, email, and so on. We create the address. We set that as current, and then we add first name, last name, address, and so on. And once all the entity were created, we just execute another command called commit on the apps, which will commit everything we just did. So we see right now it's already committing, and it will commit everything we just did, and it will create all the code, and it will generate it and send it to GitHub. You see that's done. So if I'll go back now to Amplication, if I'll go just to show you the app we just created, WarsawJS, and we'll go to entities, and we see we have all those entities, address and customer and image and line item and everything we just created from Amplication CLI. We can see that, for example, to the customer, there is a first name and a last name and an email address. And of course, every one of those fields, we can select data types, like email is an email, and so on. And I have also relationship from customer to order. And if I'll go to the order entity, I can see I have the price and so on. So everything is here. Everything was created, you remember, from this script, but I can create everything manually on the UI. And the nice thing about it, if I will go right now here, I can see that there is a build that is running. Okay, the build is running. The app was generated. The code was pushed to GitHub. And right now, we're already starting seeing that we're building a Docker image from that application. And once the Docker image is done, we will see that we even deploy that to a sandbox environment so you can start working with it. So let's go to GitHub and let's see what happened. If I click on Open GitHub, it will take me to the pull request on the repo I just created. I see I have a pull request with 358 files. I will not go all of them right now. I'll just merge that because this is our first commit. And I'll go to the code tab. And I can see we have the server. We have an admin UI. If I'll go to the server, we can see we have all the code. And I'll open that in a VS Code in a second. And we can explore the code. We can see everything we generated. But this is a full-blown Node.js application. So it works with Prisma. I saw that Prisma are kindly sponsoring your community, which is really nice and great. And I love Prisma. So, for example, we can look on the schema Prisma file, and we can see all the entities we created, the user, the customer, the address, product, all the relationship, everything is here. So instead of writing everything manually, we just get everything out of the box with Amplication. So what I will do now, I will go here, and let's clone that repo. And I'll go to VS Code, and I'll just open a new instance of VS Code. And let's connect to that repository we just created. And let's keep it here. And if I'll open that, we see this is the code we received from the GitHub repo. So like I mentioned, we have the server with Prisma. We have the source folder with all the entities. Each one of the entities, we can see we have, for example, the model with all the types and everything and all the attribute. By the way, we use in our stack, we use Node.js, of course. We use Nest.js as a web framework. We use Prisma and PostgreSDB in a Docker, which I will show you in a second how we can deploy it. And everything is generated for you. You can just go and start using that. So we have the customer model. We see that. We see the resolver, for example, a customer resolver with all the GraphQL API to create a customer, to get a customer, to update a customer. And not only that, we can see even all the relationships. So for example, we can see that we can get the orders of a customer. So everything is generated for us. We can just start using it. So in order to use it, what we need to do, I'll go here for a second just to show you that. But basically, just few small steps. But if I'll go to docsamplication.com, we have a document that explains us how to generate everything. So what we need to do, we need to go and run npm install and then dockerdb and all that. So we will go back to our application and we'll do that. So first thing to do is to go to the server folder and we will run npm install. At the same time, I will already open a new folder and go to the admin UI. We'll run npm install here also. So once the server will complete, you can see, let's open the package JSON on the server. We can see we have the scripts ready for us. So for example, okay, it's done. So we're ready. What we will do now, we will run dockerdb in order to create our Postgres Docker in order to start using the application. So everything is already ready for us. We will just run that. The dockerdb is running. We can even go and look on our Docker dashboard. And we can see on, oh wait, it's on the other screen. Never mind. So let me just, never mind. But trust me, you have a Docker running right now with the server. Right now, what we can do next, what we should do next, is running Prisma generate in order to populate the database with all the Prisma schema of our application. Once it's done, we can run db init in order to populate the initial data like admin user and so on. I will just let him overwrite previous database I used. So Prisma manage everything for us really, really easily. Once that's done, what I need to run is just, I will run the server. That's it. I'm ready. I can just click on start watch on the server. And the same thing I can do on the admin UI. So I'm assuming that the admin UI also completed. This is the server. This is the admin UI completed successfully. I can row and run the admin UI. Now I have the admin and the server running. So if I will go, and this is the admin on the localhost 3001, I can also open our server with GraphQL and REST API, by the way, on 3000. And everything is ready for us to use. So if I'm going to have a look on the docs, we can see we have all the mutation and all the queries on the entities we created, on the address and customer and user and everything. And if I'll go here to the admin, give it a second to build. Once it's ready, you can see that we even get a client build with React admin. We can start using our server. I'm going to take a second, so I'll let him have a second. Before we do that, maybe let's, all right, here it is, it's ready. You can see this is our app we just created, WarsawJS. Let me just sign out and show you that I can easily sign in with a default user admin. All right, and I can start using my application. So for example, I go and create a customer. So I will say in the comment hello, the email going to be Yuval, first name Yuval Hazaz, and the phone number going to be this one. And I'm going to save it. And I'll go back to the customer list and I see the customers. And I can go and create a product, and I can go and create addresses and images. And of course, I even have relationships. So if I'm going to create a product, I'm going to see the list of orders for the customers right here on the orders tabs and everything. So everything is generated for us out of the box. We are ready to go. And you saw it was few minutes. So for example, let me show you another scenario, how we use the UI. So if I'll go back here, by the way, I'm not sure if I have any question. I'm not seeing the view, so let me know if you have any question, but of course we can have the question later. But let's go back to our app. And like I mentioned, we are preparing the Docker image on the server, and we're also deploying that app. So same thing we saw here locally with the UI that is running on our dev server. In few minutes, it usually takes about 3 to 5 minutes to deploy. We will see that we're going to have an endpoint on the internet. Basically, we use GCP. We use Google Cloud. We're going to get an endpoint online to start using our app on a sandbox environment. So we can, assuming you build an application, a native application, iOS or Android, or you build any client, web client, and you want to start using the API, GraphQL API, any Jamstack you're using, you can immediately start using the server and developing with that server. So it's really easy. Now let's see another thing. Let's go back here and let's go back to customer. And let's say I want to add another phone number. Let's add phone 2. And it's going to be a single line text. I want it to be maybe required or not. It doesn't really matter. And let's click here, add phone. And I'm going to create another commit. We can even compare the changes. We can see we just added a new field on that long definition of our entity. And I'm going to commit those changes. And what will happen now, we're going to see another transaction running, another commit, another build session starting. The code is generated. Once it's generated, it is going to be pushed to GitHub. So now it's ready. It's on GitHub. I'm going to click on Open GitHub. And I'm going to see a new pull request number 2, with 19 file changed. And we see that on the customer the entity, we have phone number 2. And on the create input, we have phone number 2 and all that. So application changed 19 different files for you just by adding one field, including the Prisma schema, including everything. So, you know, everything is ready for us. All we need to do is just go here and commit that change. And, you know, assuming right now, I'll go back to my application, or is our application right there. All I need to do is git pull, and I'm getting all the code to my app, and everything is ready for us. So that's really amazing. That's really, really time saving. You get everything in seconds. So A few more things I want to show you. I'm gonna have I'm having like 5 more minutes to show you, so I'm just gonna mention in few words few more things I want to mention. So first thing is we also have another layers of roles, so we can add roles here. So for example, we have a user and a manager, an admin, and so on, and I can go back to my entities and I can set permission. So for example, everybody can view customer, but not all roles. Only maybe managers and admin can create customer and so on. So you can easily set permission on top of our application. And of course, the generated code will handle that gracefully and really, really nicely. This is one thing I want to mention. Second thing I want to do in the next 5 minutes, I want to go through the code we generated. And let's talk about the option for customization. And I know it's too much maybe for this short session, but I will use that opportunity to mention we have a Discord channel almost with more than 300 developers that actively asking questions and talking about applications. So if you have any question, you are more than welcome to join us there, and I'll be happy to answer any question. So let's go have a look on the server. And I just want to show you one small concept we have in order to allow. So I see a question here on the screen. How many applications already using that solution? How you monetize it? So we already have more than 3,000 registered users, many of them just experimenting. But we have more than 50, I would say, real applications that are already built and businesses that using it for internal apps and small POCs and startups and so on. Right now we are not monetizing, but the idea is to build a commercial company business around the open source project. So we're going to offer some hosting services and maybe some business feature with paid subscription, but everything is open and everything is open source and free for the community now and forever. Thank you for the question. So let me show you that concept I mentioned. And usually you get that app, but you want to write business logic. You want to write something. You want to add custom logic. So how would you do that? So if you notice, when we generate the folders for the entities, we have this structure of customer with a base folder and then some other files outside of the base folder. So everything in the base folder will be regenerated by application every time you make changes on your model. So you add fields, you change things, everything will be regenerated. But if you want to override something, so for example, I want to override some logic on the customer creation. So you see that the customer service is extending customer service base. We use inheritance here. So you can do that easily here. So if I'll take that example from here, I'll just copy that and let's paste it here. So you see right now this class is empty. I just have the constructor, nothing more than that. But what I did here, I created another function called create, which take the exact same signature, the exact same parameters like the best Prisma customer create. And what we do here, we just changing maybe some of the arguments, and we call directly Prisma, or instead of calling directly Prisma, we can even use super, sorry. You can even use super, create, args, and just pass that to the base class. And this way we can change our arguments, adding everything we want, doing whatever we want, and then decide what we want to do. We can call the super in order to let application use the generated code, or maybe we can create anything we want. Same thing we can do with the resolver, and same thing we can do with the controller for the REST API. If I want to add more endpoints for our REST API, if I want to add more queries or mutation to our resolver, I can easily do that here, and everything I do here will not be overwritten by application. So you can keep generating models and changes from application, and your custom code is safe. It will not be overridden. I think that summarized everything I wanted to show today. Really, really quick. I know it's a lot. And I do have some 3 minutes for questions, so feel free.
Congratulations, Yuval. Awesome, awesome presentation, and I'm really encouraged to check how this tool works.
Thank you.
Can you tell me how much time does it cost to build something like this? Because as I understood, you built this from scratch, right?
So let me first maybe stop sharing my screen, I think, so I can see you better. Hi, everybody. We are working on that for the last 15, 16 months, maybe, almost year and a half. Myself, my partner, and we had like a couple of employees that work with us on that for about half of the time. This is more or less. We didn't create everything from scratch. Of course, we use Nest.js, we use Prisma, we use a lot of frameworks to generate the code, but the entire platform, it was generated from scratch by ourselves. Yeah.
Amazing. All right, so
Thank
we have a question. Gone Drone asks us, is the use case controller the place to put business logic in application?
So yeah, you have the base controller and you have the base resolver, which we will generate, but you have the one that inherit whether you can put business logic. You can go also to docsamplication.com. There is a document that explains how to add custom business logic on each one of the layers. But yeah, the idea is the use case, if you want to add custom logic, you will add that to the controller, resolver, or service or on the entity folder.
Okay, awesome. I think this answers the question. And I can't see any more questions. So thanks a lot, Yuval. I hope you're going to join us on our networking session. And again, congratulations for a great presentation. It's going to be on YouTube published, of course. So if you also can share your slides at WarsawJS Slack, it will be also awesome.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And see you later on the next session. Thank you very much.
See you later. Thank you. So the next person is Andriy. Andriy, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Hey.
Hey, I can hear you very well. So now the stage is yours. So good luck. And as I said also to Yuval, 22 minutes of the main talk, 3 minutes for questions. Optionally, you can make your talk longer, but the question and answer session will be shorter then.
Okay, I will try to fit into 20 minutes.
All right.
Okay.
I leave you for now. If something will happen, I will join back if you have any questions.
Okay.
Also, so good luck then.
Okay, Piotr, tell me please, do you see
Yes?
do you see my screen?
Not yet.
Not yet. Now?
No. Okay, so in the meanwhile,
give me 1 more minute.
Okay, so I'll give you 1 minute. And in the meanwhile, while I can tell you guys that we are going to publish our second part of our podcast. It's going to be on ethics in IT in Polish. We're also going to prepare transcript, so maybe a translation will be possible. However, the podcast is the second chapter. The first one was about recruitment in IT, and this one will touch the subject of ethics. And it's a really interesting subject because last time or two WarsawJS in back, we had an interesting discussion on the codex of IT programmers and general what is our code of conduct, our the IT ethics. And we discussed the subject that we actually still don't have it, and we would like to produce something like this or generate together in cooperation with you. And this discussion shows really what it is about and how broad is the subject, because it goes through security, through relationships between employees and employers, and all the stuff that really matters for us during our work. So it's really interesting. So we will share it with you at our our WarsawJS Facebook and Twitter and so on. Oh, and it's going to be on our Spotify channel. So yeah, we will share with you later the slides so you can get the link to WarsawJS Spotify too. Oh, actually, we have time still, so I will share it with you now because it's all here. Our support slides. And unfortunately, if you go there, you will learn that, okay, Andriy is back. You will learn what are our plans, because on last slides, we disclose what are we going to do. Andriy, can you check the sharing now?
Not yet. And yesterday it worked.
Yeah, always it works like this. So generally it's one of the buttons in the middle of StreamYard. All right. So in the meanwhile, okay, it's time to announce. I think I can't hide it that the next WarsawJS is going to be on site. Yes, we're going to return to be on site on the 14th July. So the next WarsawJS 83 after pandemics, first time on site. That's our plan. We want really to deliver a fantastic meetup here in Warsaw. And obviously, you're all invited. The entrance is free. And I can see that Andriy shared his slides, so we can add them to streams. All right, so I will close my slides. We can add it to stream. Oh no, that's Dominika. Sorry. Yeah, okay, I can see Małgosia. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's awesome. I also think so. This campaign is really is going to flow because yeah, it was a very long break last time. I think it was in February, 2010. No, 2020. So yeah, I also think it's really awesome. All right. So what can we do with Andriy? The backup is that Dominika will start. Yeah, strange to see people in person. I think we changed. Everyone changed. I, for example, changed my hairstyle thanks to pandemic. So no, it's really different. Okay, I can't see still Andriy's slides, so we will start with Dominika's presentation now. Dominika, can you join us?
Yes, I'm here.
Hey.
And I'm also excited about meeting people in person. So, you know.
It's unimaginable. Why? Who doesn't these times? But yeah, we are going to be, at least most of us, vaccinated. I got vaccinated, and you know, it's much safer to meet, I think.
I'm still waiting for my second dose, but yeah, later on. Can't wait. Maybe I will travel to Warsaw. So
yeah, we'll because see. You're in Krakow now, right?
Yeah, yes. So thanks to COVID, okay. We can meet and I can present just from my bedroom, but in person it will be nicer for sure.
Yes. Okay. So are you ready for 22 minutes of your presentation now?
Yeah, just show my slides and we can start.
Okay, good luck, Dominika. The stage is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the introduction. And as you can see, I want to talk about accessibility today. If you are here, you've probably already seen that page or at least that Facebook fan page. But did you know that according to Colorblind Awareness Organization, 1 in 12 men and 1 in 200 women see them differently because of color blindness? For some of them, our well-known pictures from the previous slides may look like this. More surprising may be the fact that color blindness does not necessarily mean seeing the world in grayscale. In fact, it's the least common case, and the majority of people with color vision deficiencies will see our webpage this or like this. Today, I want to show you some tips thanks to which you can build the internet available for everyone, not only for people struggling with color blindness, but also with other vision, motion, or cognitive deficiencies. But before we will go there, let me shortly introduce myself. As it was said, I'm Dominika Zając, and I am programmer from education, profession, and passion. Currently, I work as a software engineer in Qualtrics in Krakow, but apart from my work, I'm conducting IT-related workshops and lectures, especially for kids and tech newbies. I'm also a huge fan of singing and theater, so if you want to talk about that topic, just ping me during after party, and we can talk about them. But in the meantime, let's go back to accessibility. What is accessibility, you may ask? Simply speaking, accessibility in IT is a way of building our software in a way it's available for everyone, including people with vision, motion, or cognitive deficiencies. We should remember that some people are using a computer differently than majority of us. They use assistive technologies like screen readers or special navigation keyboards, but it also applies for people who just need a bigger font on our page or broke their arm and they cannot use traditional keyboard and mouse the same way as always because they have only one hand available. If it's so important, why accessibility is so difficult and non-popular topic among developers? The most frequently repeated answers include lack of knowledge, why it's important, lack of resources, time or manpower to improve existing solutions, and lack of knowledge how to quantify and fix issues connected with accessibility. And today I will try to address all of those concerns. So let's start with stepping into our users' shoes. We can talk, we can read, we can discuss a lot, but the experiences are the way we are learning the most efficiently. It's why I want to propose to you 3 simple experiments to better understand problems your users are struggling with every day. First of all, if you are from Warsaw, I strongly encourage you to visiting Invisible exhibition. It's a special place where you can feel like a blind person. You come into total darkness and have to conduct some normal daily tasks like preparing the meal in the kitchen. And you have to be surprised how difficult daily tasks can be without sight. It was super eye-opening experience for me, not to mention small panic attack when the lights went out. So I strongly recommend you just visiting that place and try to understand how the world without sight may look like. Unfortunately, I know that visiting exhibition may be difficult, especially in pandemic times. It's why the other experiments are ready to perform just from your bed. First of them, emulating vision deficiencies using your Chrome DevTools. First of all, you can open your Chrome browser, go to Chrome Developer Tools, 3 dots visible here on the right side, later on more tools, rendering. Well, et voila, we have a section called Emulate Vision Deficiencies. Here we have an option to simulate blurred vision or different types of color blindness. And the same page may look completely different for people who have some kind of color blindness. It's worth to checking, can you read all the text? Or maybe somewhere contrast ratio is not enough. If everything is visible, definitely worth checking. The last experiment, just unplug your mouse. Can discharged mouse have something to do with accessibility? Surprisingly, yes. Many users with motor or with motor disabilities or using screen readers rely on keyboard navigation. And we have to ask ourselves, does our web page fully support that? Where's the focus after dismissing the model? Can you access all actionable items on your page? Spoiler alert, keyboard navigation is not as easy as you may think. Okay, we went into our user's shoes. Let's talk about issues we might notice there. Of course, the list I will present today is not exhaustive. It's impossible to fit all of them into one presentation, but I chose the most popular ones. Hope it will be a great starting point for you. So let's go there. First of all, incorrect DOM structure. We have so many HTML tags, different headings, inputs, checkbox, buttons, etc. But unfortunately, as developers, we have also tendency to create our own widgets based only on styled divs. And they are beautiful, but screen readers cannot understand them correctly. Using the correct HTML tag is super important. However, you don't have to give up all your custom elements. Assign them correct roles using role attribute. Add tab index to interactive elements to ensure they can be focused. Check keyboard navigation in more complicated widgets. For example, if you can navigate over lists using arrows on your keyboard. When you use native HTML elements, you have it for free. So next time, before creating your new super awesome widget only on divs, think twice. Maybe it can be done easier. The next problem, insufficient contrast ratio. Fortunately, those issues can be quite easy to detect by automated tools. On the slide, you can see example from Chrome DevTools. When I inspect my button element, I see that pop-up with info about styling. And here in accessibility section, I see label contrast and that orange icon informing me that something is wrong with my element. When I go to the same element in the Style tab and click Color Picker, I will see more icons informing me that something is incorrect, but also I have here a button with Reload icon. What is nice, when I click that button, Chrome DevTools will propose to me a new color, which will have sufficient contrast ratio with background, but it will be as close to the initial one as possible. So it's really nice way to fix problems connected with insufficient contrast color ratio. Okay, next one. Sometimes it's hard to understand something without additional information. It's why we have footnotes in books or cards in a museum with a description of item. The same story may occur on your site, especially if we remove the visual part. Remember to add alternative text to your images describing what is visible on them, and you can use alt tag for that on images or correct title in SVG elements. If it's only decorative, you can leave them empty or add area hidden through property. Also, you can read a little about tags area label and area descriptions. Thanks to them, you can add some context to your pictures or other elements for screen reader users. The last problem I want to talk about today is broken or missing keyboard navigation. It's connected with that experiment with unplugging your mouse. Trust me, it's not as trivial as you may think. What are the problems? When you cannot access some interactive elements via keyboard, or you are in trap after dismissing the model and have no idea where focus currently is. The riskiest places are common custom components, buttons without support for keyboard navigation, modals or places where you add or remove something. It's also a good practice to add a special link at the beginning of your site to allow users to skip to the main content and omit the initial menu with navigation. Some tools like Slack are also adding special F6 shortcut to easily iterate over sections. Remember that keyboard navigation is used not only by screen readers users, so displaying some visual tips like marking focused area is also a good option. Okay. We were talking about issues. We stepped for a while into our user shoes. Let's talk how to include accessibility in process. Because it's important to remember that accessibility is not one-time action. So you cannot, just add accessibility, mark task in Jira as done, closed, and for the end of your life, you are accessible, or for the end of life of your software. We have to remember that each change to code may cause some accessibility problems. And we have to create some system to ensure that our software will be always available for everyone. How to do so? First of all, automatic audits, the fastest and the easiest starting point. Here you have example without installing anything. As you can see, you can go to Chrome browser, go to developer tools. You may notice I'm a huge fan of them, and go to Lighthouse tab. Here we are checking accessibility, checkpoint, and generate report. After some seconds, we will see something like that. In the top, we have overall score, and that score is between 1 and 100. The score below 50 is bad, 51, 89, medium, and the 90, 100 is the score we want to achieve. But it's not all. The more important part is below that score. It's the list of failing elements on our web page. As you can see, I have not only info about failing audits, but also about past and not applicable on our web page. So when you are just starting your development with accessibility, it's also worth to check what is important, what you should consider when you are preparing your next web page. Okay, let's talk about that failing parts, because they are the most important and the most interesting, probably. As you can see here, I have a shorter version, but I can also expand details. And that details look like this. So I have short info, what is wrong and what should be improved on my web page. But I have also linked to the article where I can learn more. I can understand why it's so important or how I can fix it. And what is super, super nice, I have also a list of all failing elements on my page. So in my example, button, when I click on them, I will be redirected to Styles tab, so I can fix it the same way as I showed you previously. Super easy way to detect some problems on your page and do some first accessibility check without installing anything. If you want to use more advanced reports, you can just use some tools like Axe Tools, visible on the screen. It's also for free. You can add it as an extension to your browser. And as you can see, I have also report with list of failing elements. I have a number of total issues on my page. I have references for them. And I have also info, is it critical or minor? So which items should be fixed first? Here you can see the link, so probably you can check that tool on your own. When we are talking about improving the process, we cannot forget about code review. Having the second pair of eyes is always useful. So if you are using some template checklist for code review on GitHub or GitLab, it's really nice to add an entry for accessibility there, or just ask your friend to take care on those aspects. But remember, don't waste developer time for things that can be done automatically. How? For example, using unit test. On the screen, you can see a unit test, accessibility unit test, written with just Axe, and it's super short. As you may see, it's only getting my element and checking if it has any violation. You can define your own rules. You can also exclude some rules if, in your opinion, are not important. And your test suite will fail and inform you when something is wrong before development. Super useful thing. If you want to detect some problems even faster, you can also add a Slint plugin to your code. And thanks to that, problems with accessibility will be marked during development process in your favorite editor. Here we have example from IntelliJ, but it also works for other modern code editors. And as you can see, when you try doing something strange, like adding a tab index on non-interactive element, the incorrect property will be underlined in red. And when you hover over it, you will receive more info what is incorrect. So we can fix problems with accessibility during development even faster than unit tests. Unfortunately, we have to remember that even the smartest automation cannot detect all accessibility problems. We have to remember to perform manual tests regularly. Involve in them people with different disabilities, if possible. We have to also remember to test not only happy paths, but also more complicated scenarios. Recall the experiments from the beginning. Could you call your page accessible, having them in mind? In the end, I have a small appeal for you. Be nice. Remember about people who are using computer differently than you. Together, we can make the internet place where everyone feels welcomed. And I wish it's a future of web development. So yeah, just be nice and think about accessibility during your development process. If you want to stay in touch, you may see my social links on the page. I will be also on after party, so we can talk about it. And thank you very much for having me. If you have any questions, it's great time to ask them. I can't hear you. I believe you are muted.
Yes, sorry, I was muted. So thank you very much for this amazing talk, and I believe that personally I learned a lot. I didn't know that you can define this your own has no violations. It's really easy to look at a test like this. So that's absolutely amazing, and maybe it's going to encourage me to write such tests. So can you tell me something more about it? How what kind of violations can you define this way?
Sure, there are a lot of predefined rules, and in majority of cases, you don't have to define your own rules, just use one of predefined. So it may check, for example, tab indexes on your interactive elements. It may check if all your LI elements are inside all or UL elements. So this is it correct structure. It may check also if, I don't know, many things. It's super difficult to tell them from the head.
Yeah,
but yeah, I will send you a link to documentation so you can check it there.
Fantastic. So can you also share your slides with us so that we can access them from our WarsawJS Slack? Because, well, everyone actually sits there. There is a question from gone drone. How do you convince stakeholders that investing in accessibility is worth it? What if your organization deems it unimportant and happens to only employ abled managers?
Yeah, it's a tough question. I believe it's difficult to convince stakeholders about it, but we have to remember that law enforces us to make our software available for everyone, and there are more and more law regulations about it. So first of all, if you cannot explain that you may have more users and your users are more happy, and your software is better not only for the people with disabilities, because thanks to fixes for accessibility, it's also more accessible for people without them. So yeah, if that, let's say, normal arguments are not enough for your stakeholders, think about law and the changes will coming also in Poland. So yeah.
Okay, so that's a tough argument, especially using against the person who is your employer, actually my question was actually also the same when I thought thinking about this, because generally it generates some more costs, to be honest, right? To create such accessible app, because it needs more testing, more work, more effort in general. However, if there will be some kind of regulations that the violation of that can be, for example, fined, or I don't know, maybe there will be some other kind of. I know that Google, for example, indexes lower pages which are not accessible, so at least that. On the other hand, I feel also that this ethics subject fits in well, because creating inaccessible websites is just unethical. It's bad. It's not good, right? So we can have a codex. We can have certain rules that maybe we can follow as programmers. Do you think would you apply such codex in your team?
We haven't got it called as a codex. We have some rules. We have that unit test or some plugins, so they enforce us. But it was never a question that should we add accessibility. And it's also worth mentioning that when you build your new plugins or new modules with accessibility in mind from the beginning, from the sketch, it's not really big cost. Because when you remember about, for example, using correct DOM structure, correct HTML tags, it's really, I believe it's the same effort as a normal development. Mm-hmm. So yeah, when you remember about it from the very beginning, it's not so expensive as you might think.
Okay. All right. So thanks for mentioning this. I can't see any more questions, so we will ask you something more during. Oh, there is a question. Krzysztof Łokaj. Maybe good idea is to steal developer stakeholders' regular mouse every month to make them aware of accessibility problems.
And I really love that idea, because, you know, I was talking a lot about that unplugging mouse, and many of my friends told me, come on, girl, it's stupid, yeah, it will work the same. And later on, you unplug your mouse and you see that, come on, you have a problem. You cannot just search through. Maybe Google is okay with that, yeah, but you cannot read your favorite page, and it's so difficult to buy a ticket or do something without a mouse. So yeah, I love that idea. When we come back to the office, I will try regular stealing mouses for my friends. Okay. Thank you, Krzysztof, for that.
Yeah, I really love that experiment that you presented. That turning it off could be a really surprised how many bugs we can discover on our website that we can't actually click the login, for example, button without the mouse or enter. All right, so thanks a lot, Dominika. I think I know that Andriy has his slide working. So thanks for being here and with us. And I hope you're going to stay on our networking. So and Krzysztof also suggests that maybe stealing screens could be a good idea.
Can't wait for after party for more ideas about it. But yeah, thank you very much and see you.
See you soon. All right, so Andriy, are you ready now?
Yeah, I think I'm ready.
Okay.
Do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear well.
Oh, fine. Fine.
So let's see if the sharing works. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Super.
That's good. So
okay. So hello again. Thank you for your patience. Now I think I hope that the technical problems are gone. Then we can start talking about designing web APIs. My name is Andriy Mykulyak, and on a day-to-day basis, I work as a front-end architect in Fresha. It's one of the sponsors of WarsawJS, and working with the API with the web APIs, that is reviewing third-party APIs, designing our own APIs, refactoring them, monitoring is part of my work. And this was the reason why I decided to give this talk, to share my experience and also to share my mistakes I did and we did, because there was not only white and bright past. Because I deeply believe that learning on others' mistakes is the best thing of learning. Just you save a lot of time. So let's start. Why the first question is why web APIs are so important? Because can we go without them? In principle, yes, but APIs have several key features that made them unique in today's economy. The first and the most important one is that you can sell your services via API. You may not create a full-fledged application, a native application, a web application. You can just create an API and sell this service. So your API can be a product. Yeah, and this is the main point of my talk. So API is a product, and you should treat it like the product. And the key features I was talking about is they are, in general, they are much faster and cheaper to develop than graphical applications, even than console applications, right? Because there are less technologies involved, less moving parts. Technologies can be safely hidden from the customers. And all this constitutes to the faster and faster delivery. And publishing your API is a more flexible approach than giving your customers a complete application. Why? Because you never know, as a developer, you never know how your clients can or want to integrate your functionality. For example, if you're selling prints on the t-shirts, right? You can sell them via your application, yeah, as services printing images on your t-shirts, or you can provide an API just to give the clients the ability to integrate this printing in the web shops, for example. And this would be much more I would say, versatile and flexible approach. What are the qualities of a good API? This list is subjective. I created it after maybe several years of working with APIs, and it is divided into columns. The left column is have SDK from my language, because eventually you will have to write some code to connect with this API, with the services underneath this, behind this API. And if the code is already written by someone who knows this API the best, it's the perfect situation. So this, for example, for me, it's the most important point. The API should be intuitive. If developers or clients should not think about every single detail, name or endpoint or query, how it should work and why it does not work. If it's not intuitive, at least you should provide some documentation. Yeah? And the last one in this area is preferably the API you want to use should not be a vendor lock-in. So you should be really, in principle, it's much better if you could migrate from this API to the alternative one later. And these are qualities when it's from the coding point of view. But then you're done with coding, you start running your API and maintaining it. A set of different qualities become important. That is API reliability. Because if your API doesn't work, it's of no use. It doesn't bring you money, and your company doesn't profit. Similarly, if you cannot see when your API works and when it does not, it's the same situation. You should be able to see at any given moment how your API performs, where to tweak, where to pay attention. The next quality is performance. It's only the third one, because performant API which is not working, it's of no use. And the last one, because the most important quality of today's businesses are as short as possible time to market. So basically, the fastest business in the industry will get the most of the market. That's why the fastest time to market for APIs is also very important. In principle, you should strive to make this API as intuitive as it can be, but sometimes there are rough points, there are some pretty difficult questions, so you need to provide a technical support for your clients. So this becomes more and more important during the lifetime of the API. So these are pretty serious things, and how can one achieve, if not all of them, but then most of them, and not go insane, because this is difficult. For myself, I kind of make a plan how to do this, how to achieve this. And every single moment I remember that my API is a product, so I should, and I can, and I should use the same methods we use to develop products. That is, first of all, you should collect the requirements for your API. Then, before starting to write any code, just design a bit. Then probably you will want to choose the main technology stack. Yeah, that's a proper time, but you should do it wisely, because sometimes after half a year, after maybe 1 year, it can turn out that you will have to rewrite your API because you did the wrong choice or too quick choice, or you choose too quickly. When you're done with the technology stack, when you're choosing technology stack, you should really think about providing great developer experience, because it really matters. And then this is a complex question I will describe. But when you do this, you should also think about how to cope with changes, because changes are inevitable in the API world. So let's go step by step. Let's start with the requirements. Basically, you have two key questions to answer. Who will use your API? That is, who will be your clients? And most often, they will be other developers, but not always. You may write an API, for example, for quality assurance specialists, like a browser stack service, which the QAs use. Or this can be some data warehouse which business analysts will use. So you must learn who will use your API. And the second question, how these people will use your API. So these people will have some problems they will want to solve. So you should think about how your API will help these people to solve their problems. In which way? You should think about these scenarios, typical problems, and how your API, your product, will help them. Of course, these are not the only questions. There are many others. For example, what are performance expectations? Yeah. For example, extracting data from the warehouse can take 2 seconds. It's okay, but 2 seconds for getting data about logged in customer for a mobile application, it's not okay. It's too slow. Should be maybe 20 times faster. The expectation is 20 times faster. The second question is, what is expected amount of traffic? Yeah, how much resources we need, and this also can restrict our choices when it comes to technology. We should think at this point we should think about monitoring this API, and it's best. In my opinion, it's best to use third-party services for it and not to do some really big work, and not to do it by ourselves, because it saves our time. And the last question, which I wish you all to answer at some point, what if your API is successful? So you have a lot of customers, they want to use API, so you want to scale it. Yeah, it's not in the garage stage, it's a production, it's live. So how we will scale it? Is it scalable at all? There are many more questions, but these are, I chose the most important questions for me at this point. And when you're done with them, when you have answers, you can go to the next stage, which is designing. What I mean by designing. When you know who will use your API, you want to learn the language. You want to learn the area they work with. That's called domain. You want to basically you want to start to a bit think like these people think. Document this knowledge. And also to, if you can, study what others did in similar domain. It's a great experience. You can start with some non-zero level, and you can see how you can improve existing APIs and not to do from zero. When you know the domain, you should start identifying domain entities that are objects your API operate on. For example, for payments, it would be payment account, some I don't know, amounts, some bank, yeah, country, currency, and you should also provide some or define some important actions you can do on these entities. And then you identified entities, you should think and identify key flows. So these are flow that is multi-step activity. Yeah. So fetching data is one step, single step activity, but making a payment is probably at least a two-step activity. Yeah, on the first step you can, for example, you can create a lease. Yeah, on the second on the second step you confirm this payment with your credentials or something like that. Let's suppose that you did this homework. You have your domain designed, written down, documented, and you understand what you will work with. So then you can go to the technology choice, and here the controversy begins, because at the moment when it comes to web APIs, there are two basically mainstream approaches. The first one is REST, and the second one is GraphQL. There are also around maybe 10, maybe 20, or something like SOAP or XML RPC approach or JSON RPC, but they are either old, not very often used, or too complex to be used effectively. So hopefully you will not work with them. So I will not mention them. The biggest differentiating factor between REST and GraphQL is the REST is somewhat academic. It's about metadata data and transitions in state between this data. It also tries as much as it can rely on the existing web infrastructure, that is HTTP protocol. GraphQL, on the other hand, is about flexibility and great developer experience. And probably these are two factors that contributed to GraphQL success. Other often cited advantages are arguable. I can argue with it on private or maybe next presentation. But in my opinion, this flexibility and great developer experience, this 90% of what GraphQL does. Each approach has its good and bad parts. For REST, it's actually better. It's not an approach. It's an approach, and it's not a strict specification. Plus, of course, it can leverage existing web infrastructure. Bad thing is it lacks data definition language, but on the other hand, it allows defining custom schema definition language. And there are several competing functional specifications like OpenAPI, JSON API, or data that do that. But for me, the most important factor is the lack of proper tooling for REST APIs that make working with them tedious and error-prone. GraphQL, on the contrary, is a specification with the very well-defined schema definition language. There are some disadvantages of using this GraphQL, but what I want to know that its tooling and client-side developer experience are top-notch. It's very good. It starts to be difficult to work with on the complex scenarios when you have multiple services, each with its own schema. You want to somehow optimize the fetching data from multiple services. You want to somehow to merge this data schema of the services. So then things with GraphQL start to complicate. But if you don't require this, it's okay. This is what I created for myself as a somehow checklist for whether to use GraphQL or REST. Basically, if you have clients with a strong those data requirements strongly vary, so you should consider using GraphQL. If you have a single greenfield service, that is new service, and you want to try GraphQL, you may use it. If the delivery velocity is really important and you know GraphQL, you can also use it. Otherwise, consider using REST. If your API, if you choose to use REST, but your API is complex, then add the schema definition to your API. And that's how we do things in Fresha. We use JSON API. Yeah, JSON API is a specification of how requests and responses to the REST endpoints should look like. And in principle, it does the same as GraphQL schema, but it does not require us to use always GraphQL stack. So when you're done with the technology choices, you should really think about great developer experience. And also a subjective list, bit opinionated, is you should think about naming. It's very important, consistent naming. You should use commonly used patterns. You should try not to reinvent the wheel and invent the new ways of doing the same things, because it's simply faster, and the developers already get used to these commonly used patterns, so you will save them time. You should really think and invest into documentation with code snippets. If you have time and resources, you should write SDK for popular languages, that is for web, that is JavaScript, or better TypeScript. Your API should provide debug mode, that is a mode in which all errors have very detailed messages. So developer which sees this error does not have to do much. Either he or she has an explanation what went wrong, or she or he has a link where he can find this information. And the very desired quality, which helps with the developer experience, is providing sandbox environments. That is a fake environment where you can test your API, how it looks, how it feels, which errors, how it responds to given APIs, to given requests. And now let's see these steps in more or less detail. Here is the example of GraphQL query. Yeah, usual questions I have seen this query is, what is the difference between gadget and UI device? Is it different or is it the same? Same with the name and title, because they may be the same, or they may mean different things. And also, I will always have a question: why is snake case used in one case, and is it a common naming pattern, or is it an error? Here are two examples how to do. For example, how to form a URL for a paginated resource in REST style, how to do it more or less properly, and how not to do it. Yeah, the first one, probably you saw URLs like this 20 times, maybe 50. Yeah, and you will not have problems with changing the parameters accordingly. But when it comes to the second one, you really need to think what these parameters mean. Does it 20? It's a constant, or is it parameter, or whatever. Documentation. It's very important, yeah, because not everything can be written and expressed in code. The things cannot be expressed, should be documented. Here I listed three APIs actually, and one tool, the Swagger editor, which I like very much. I think that they have good quality, and if you will go to them, this is SendGrid, Google, and GitHub APIs documentation. Yeah, if you go to them, you will see that they have common qualities like response request definitions. They allow you to send some sample request and see the output. Yeah? So it's live. But documentation is good, but the code is better. So if you can, just write the SDK, because you are the person who creates this API. You know it's best. You just can provide, do a big favor to developers and provide them with it and save them some time. Yeah. Same goes with the debug mode. Yeah. Here I show an example of how error message can look like. So it should have a code, some definition, and maybe even stack trace. Of course, when you choose REST, you should also obey to HTTP rules and use error codes wisely. Yeah, you cannot do this in GraphQL, but you should do this in REST APIs. And the last topic is embrace future changes. Changes are inevitable, so you should plan how you will version your APIs and how you evolve them, change them right from the beginning. REST and GraphQL have different approaches to this matter. REST advocates that URLs should be versioned. There are three different schemas for that. Whereas the GraphQL recommends versionless evolution. So they have one single schema, no versions. Just when you need some new field, you add them. When you want to remove something and you know that your client do not use this field, you just remove. Personally, I do not like GraphQL approach, because I think that these changes should be explicit. Yeah, hiding some new stuff, new fields, remove old fields can be unexpected for your future clients. Besides that, not every change requires new version. What do I mean by that? It's when you many changes, for example, adding new fields or changing the semantic, do not require issuing or creating a new set of endpoints for that versions. So these new versions for new endpoints and new versions for REST APIs are really not that will not happen not that often. So this was the one of arguments against REST versioning model. Okay, so we can got to the end. Just to summarize, the main point of my presentation is API is a product, so treat it like one. Start with the collecting requirements, then do some design, do some homework, learn the domain, then choose the technology, but wisely. Then really think about developer experience, because developers will be your most of your clients will be other developers. And then think about developing and evolving your APIs. So that's all. Thank you.
Congratulations. If we were live, there will be great ovations, and we will all clap our hands. There is a question from Gondron. Do you work from the domain outwards entities in variants first, or from the API shape first inward? What's first, nouns or verbs?
Nouns. In my project, nouns are first.
Okay. So this means you plan the entities first and the commands and methods later. Okay. Why so?
But it's not black and white. Sometimes name of the entity is the name of the activity. For example, payment. Right? Payment can be a noun, and payment can be an activity. Pay or pay, right? So sometimes, or Frankly, there are no good examples of that right now in our mind, but sometimes you will have REST endpoints which will serve which will do some strict activity which cannot feed in the entity state. But these are rare cases.
Okay, so I think it answers the question. Now Marcin Hagmeier has a question. Marcin asks, what do you think about sending executable scripts to the server to perform the required computation, as it is in AskQL?
Actually, this is not only a feature of AskQL. REST approach also advocates it. It's one of the constraints. But frankly, I never tried it. I never tried it because of security concerns.
Okay, so you're afraid that maybe the front end will send some executable script which can be dangerous.
Exactly.
All right. Okay, so I can't see any other questions, so I will invite you to the networking session on Discord. I shared the link on Slack, so you obviously you're all invited, and you can ask more questions to Andriy in person. So thank you very much, Andriy. Awesome presentation, very informative, and we really need more presentations like this. So thank you very much for that. And yes, and what can I say? I'm really excited that we're going to have our next meetup on site. And thanks a lot to our sponsors. So 10 Crowds, CallStack, Fresha, PackHelp, PostClick, Prisma, Sumo Logic, and XFang. Thanks to you, we're going back. We're going to have our next meetup on site. So that's really amazing. And the speakers confirmed that they're coming. At least most of them. Adam will speak on JavaScript, the next English. Tomasz on pros and cons of micro frontend architecture, and Paweł will say something about optimization of website loading. And that's all on 14th of July, and the networking will be astonishing. I promise you. Again, the podcast, prepare yourself. We will release it, I think this week we can manage. And so follow us on Facebook, Twitter, or I don't know, LinkedIn, anywhere. And yeah, that's all we prepared for today. So thank you very much. And I hope to see you live on the 14th. So always the second Wednesday of a month. Thank you very much. And let's go to the networking session. I will show you now the link, the Discord invitation. Yeah, it's there. Okay. Thanks a lot. See you guys.